Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my first initial thoughts video of the new year for Peira, Ice Thief. If the year starts off this with a bang like this, I mean, she's really hot looking. She is a furry. She's a Suin, apparently, but she is really hot. But if heroes are starting off like this in the new year, I don't know what to expect in the rest, especially with like potential collabs or other like new limited heroes. I am very scared because at the end of the year we had Conqueror Lilius and of 2021 we had Conqueror Lilius, and Conqueror Lilius opened up the potential for any other classes coming in the future that have star signs that are not designed or assigned to heroes. What I mean by that is Conqueror Lilius was the first warrior to have that kind of base speed. Peira is the first Virgo thief in the game, and she has shown us some potential in terms of the speed. It makes me scared of when Aquarius thief get their 5-star equivalents. Aquarius is Assassin Sid's speed. Assassin Sid is a 4-star, being the second fastest hero in the game, and Peira right now is matched with Assassin Sid. But if Assassin Sid's star sign Aquarius gets a 5-star equivalent, that would be the fastest base hero in the game. We have not seen that yet, but this is what I mean. Smilegate is definitely cranking up a notch in terms of now we get to see these heroes in action, having new stat lines that we're not familiar with. But at least it's not too crazy. But like I said, that day when the Aquarius thief gets a 5-star equivalence, that is the day when that has to be the fastest speed. There can't be more hidden stuff. I cannot accept it because it's just getting way too fast, right? So Conqueror Lilius being able to hit 300 speeds, Rans being able to hit 310 speed with decent DPS. These are going to be stat lines that are either you've luck-sacked through it or you've wailed through it. But either way, you've been hunting Wyvern almost all of the life of Epic 7. It's definitely proven to pay off. Any player who is still spending time in their Banshee mines, and Katie's and stuff like that, don't get me wrong. There are heroes that are designed for certain sets, so you should still be hunting them. But it's just that, like, you know, me as a player, like looking at myself, like I didn't really hunt and stuff for like, I don't know, a year and a half, and then so I really didn't start playing the game with the end game mentality until like a year and a half later. So like, you know, I was just thinking like, oh man, did I not spend enough time in Wyvern? This is no joke. There's no joke. So if you're watching this as a new player and you hear people saying, oh, get a Wyvern team going, and this is 100% going to reflect and compound throughout the years that you spend on Epic 7, if you spend years on Epic 7. Before I wanted to get into stat line, I want to take a look at her design. Like I said, she is a Suin. She looks pretty hot. This image is just like very captivating. She's got the bedroom eyes, the seductive eyes. For those who are watching the video and you join my streams, you know my taste, so I won't explain that. And she's got 2-color eyes as well. Come on, like that's deadly, right? So deadly stare. One of the comments I've seen so far is that she has really fast base speed, but she doesn't manipulate CR. Now, this is a very bad logic in terms of why other players were not able to predict how good Conqueror Lilius is that once you have a lot of heroes, like a full roster with full sets of roles, have really high base speed, you don't need every single high base speed hero to have a CR manipulation. CR manipulation is great, but would be very overpowered in a very high base speed hero. So if you really think about it, like Cerise does sort of have CR manipulation in terms of like you can restrict, but so can Peira. But then people's argument is like, oh, but Cerise can, you know, CR boost herself, and she has like a 50% CR boost on the S2 and stuff like that, so she can turn cycle really quick. But the thing is, like, you can't compare Peira to Cerise just because they have the restrict. It's comparable, but then she has so much other stuff going for her too. What I mean by this is that, like, if you have the Conqueror Lilius, you have the Ran, you have the Cerise, you have the Peira, you have Assassin Sid, you have all these fast heroes. Once the roster is filled in terms of like the speed, the high base speed heroes that have the roster filled for like high DPS, high strip, high immunity buffer, high speed attack buffer, high speed, you know, vigor buffer, as we have in Lilius, high speed, anything, debuffer, defense breaker, attack breaker, all those things. Once you have those roles filled out, like the question would be like, then why would you use any one of those roles with a lower speed? I'm not saying like it's like that extreme. You know, you're still gonna have the DPS who are mid speed and stuff like that, but that's the thing I'm trying to get to in terms of like the power creep. Why have they held all of these high base speed heroes until year 3 is part of the game design, right? But of course, the other philosophical question is like, well, why build everybody with high base speed? And I think it is honestly just showcasing that obviously speed has always been the holy grail of stats. It has always been the most celebrated, shared screenshots in terms of quad roll, penta roll gear. You can quad roll, penta roll HP percent, defense percent. All that stuff is very, very good, right? Like, and it can be high roll too. Very impressive, like 50% HP on a helmet. But it's different when it's speed, and we know that, right? And so we always say speed is king, and it is king. Once you have the gear to be able to, you know, spread out onto all of these heroes, and once the heroes are more fulfilled in their roles with the different speeds, you are just not going to see the use of like the other heroes that are like same roles but lower speed. You know what I mean? Outside of the fast-paced speed heroes might be too squishy and they might just die to Rem. That would be another discussion. But if we're talking about like the usefulness of having or seeing heroes with high base speed now being populated in every different role, this is a game changer. All right, this is the game changer I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Peira herself, although I arguably say that she is insanely good, and probably a must pull. She won't deal universally like Politis would, but I can definitely see myself using her offensively. I'm gonna put her in defense. I think she's gonna be annoying to deal with in World Arena, so you pretty much have to pull her. While I'm making this recording, I had just covered the patch note about Cerise returning. If you already have Cerise, in my opinion, I wouldn't even go for imprints on her. I would go for Peira herself. She is not limited, but I think that like she's that good. But anyways, with that kind of umbrella philosophy aside, let's talk about her directly. Just remember that now we have these star signs assigned to the classes, like again, like I said, Conqueror Lilius and all that stuff. We'll be able to start seeing same star signs being applied to the same classes, but with different kits. Can you imagine how horrifying that is? Right? So Virgo Thief, Peira is the first Virgo Thief. I went through my journal just to do a double check so that I don't make a mistake here, but I think she is the first Virgo Thief. I'm very surprised at that, but I think she is. I even looked at all the 3 stars. So when we're seeing here, the 128 base speed is again same as the Aquarius Assassin Sid base speed, which is 128. And like I said, the day that the Aquarius thieves get 5-star equivalents, that's the day we should be really scared, because based on how they tune back or tune up the speeds based on the star signs, or the base natural stars rather, it is based off a 6% difference. So if it is 128 on Assassin Sid, then it's a 6% increase of that. So that would make him make that thief in the future the fastest thief. But outside of this is 1 speed slower than Kayron and Ran, but still very, very fast. This gives you I think 7 speed difference in terms of a Conqueror Lilius. So just to think about that and keep that in mind, she can be decently usable to solving your Conqueror Lilius issues, if you put it that way. In the video, they showcased her like dealing with Angel of Light Angelica, but let's talk about that in a bit. So any other stats that I should talk about here? Let's see. The HP is fine, 5,500. That's about like an RB Leo thief. Defenses are always low, but 487 is higher than Violet, I believe. So that's okay. So higher than Scorpio. And attack is 1075. That's around Chiron level. So you got the Aries type of attack. Crit rate is at 15, and then crit damage is at 150. So future designs of this Virgo Thieves will most likely be somewhat of a debuffer. We got effectiveness at 18%, and then that's pretty much it. And we got a defense imprint release, 2 slot, 12.9%, and you got effectiveness self-imprint of 27%, being a 5-star. Very, very good so far, in my opinion, for what she needs to do. Punishing Blade is the S2, attacks all enemies with Guardian Spirits, decreasing buff duration by 1 turn before restricting and making them unbuffable for 2 turns, and it grants an extra turn to the caster. So 1 turn cooldown on this will make this a 5-turn cooldown skill, so after you use the skill, you will be on a 4-turn clock. And you got the extra turn too, so just keep that in mind. So that's 1 extra turn reduced on Punishing Blade. This is a screenshot I wanted to pull for this. This is after she casted it. Angel of Light, because it's an AoE damage skill or AoE hit skill. Wouldn't say there's much damage, but there is, of course. It is a hit skill, you are hitting. Angel of Light casts her passive. Skill null is up, but she cleanses. You can't skill null because they got unbuffable, but she cleansed the restrict. But on the turn she got hit, I don't believe she CR boost, and then you got an extra turn. So by their presentation is supposed to counter Angel of Light, and I know that they've made a mistake with Angel of Light, and we can see all these corrections and Malkawick buff, like etc, etc. And then we got an S3 Pack Hunt. Using the power of the Goblet of Oath, increase the attack of all allies except for the caster for 2 turns. So she doesn't get that benefit. I think that's fine, but regardless, I mean, not everyone has to be Ran. Yeah, so for 2 turns, and then granting Stealth, Escort, and a Barrier to the caster for 3 turns. Barrier strength increases proportion to caster's level. Now, I don't know if the buff Escort was the best term for this. I don't see how that's even relevant to the effect that it's granting. But when she looks like this, and you have a buff called Escort, that raises my eyebrow, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't know, am I the only one that saw that? But, should I leave that in the video? Anyways, granting Stealth, Escort, and Barrier for 3 turns, that's pretty big. The Barrier is the first time scaling on this. I don't believe I've seen this before, but on the caster's level. I'm assuming that means the base level, so if you're level 60, it scales on that. But regardless, based on the demonstration, the Barrier seems to be pretty chunky. So Barrier would have more value if your HP is lower. So in terms of like Peira build, I don't think you need to find any HP in your substats, or try not to. All speed and maybe effectiveness at the most, or effectiveness ring is enough with that 18%. But yeah, you don't need to find any HP. That Barrier will do its job. I mean, I guess you could build with HP anyways, just in case, but the Barrier will do its job because it's scaled on the caster level. So defense with a Barrier type hero would be better, but she does have low base defense, so I mean, it's not that you can really control that, especially if you're rolling for high speed gear. At the +3 is also 1 turn cooldown, making this a 4 turn cooldown, and then Escort, if you read this, is pretty crazy in my opinion. The target takes 30% of the damage suffered by all allies. So basically, once she has that buff up, she's an Aureus holder, but a better Aureus holder. My goodness, man, that's insane. To me, that's insane. All right. When more than 1 damage distribution effect is granted, only the strongest effect is applied. So that means that Aureus won't work. When an AoE is done and you have an Aureus holder, she's gonna absorb most of the damage. However, if she is the one being directly hit, the Aureus holder will be absorbing her damage. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else I need to say here. No, I mean the 3 turn stealth, 3 turn barrier is also pretty nutty. This also means that outside of Milim, just spelling it, your Conqueror Lilius, your Opsig won't be able to dispel those things. So Opsig and Conqueror Lilius both do buff duration reduction. So let's say, for example, this is why I'm saying that she could be pretty good for a counter for Conqueror Lilius. They don't showcase that here, but I think it was part of the design in mind, because like I said, Conqueror Lilius is really just very toxic in PvP scenarios, mainly in World Arena, because in AI based defense scenarios you can sort of bait her, but I mean her teams are still disgusting. Like, she opens up so much for the defense team, being able to draw the dual attack, vigor buff, making them harder to kill, attack down on the full your team when they're on the defensive team, on your team, and then being able to redirect, provoke, and all that stuff. But on an AI defense team, baitable. In a World Arena, Peira would be like a really must build, I think, especially higher speed than your average Conqueror Lilius. She does have a 7 base speed advantage. You will be able to do the restrict, right? Restrict full team, and you have the unbuffable, which means that if C. Lilius uses her S3 on turn 1, no vigor buff. No vigor buff. Alright? That's very good. And then her cooldown duration will not actually strip the escort buff, nor the stealth, nor the barrier. Will reduce it by 1 turn, and your attack buff will still remain because it's a 2-turn attack buff for everyone, but you will have an attack down. So that balances it out. Basically, you'll have base damage or base attack, not base, total attack hero without buffs or debuffs. So those cancel each other out. So that's pretty good, right? In my opinion, that's pretty good. And then we got the skill 1, Woven Claw. Slashes the enemy with sharp claws, a 30% chance to stun for 1 turn. If you plus 4, that is total of 40%. And then when the caster is granted a barrier, effect chance is granted or increased to a 25%. So that gives it a 65% total chance to stun for 1 turn. If you soul burn, it's only 10 soul cost, it's 100% chance to stun. I think the issue with her at like any point would be that, okay, yeah, you'd be like, oh wait, she doesn't do a dual attack, or she doesn't, you know, CR, or she doesn't. She's a very strong form of damage mitigation plus strip plus attack buff. I don't know how you cannot see this is good. Like, for those who think that she, like, they're skeptical, like, oh, I don't know if she's good. I don't know how you can see that this is not good. This is the same comment I did for Ran as well. It's just that, like, you know, you got that power crept type of kit, you got a strip, and you can soul burn Ran for guaranteed strip and debuff, and you got a full AoE defense break, AoE, what's that thing called? The weird, the other debuff. And then you have an attack buff for self and immunity for all, and you have a skill null for self. Like, it's pretty packed. Rand's S1 does less than Peira, 100%. Maybe more damage, I guess. We'll have to see the damage mods. I don't have the damage mods while I'm making this video recording. But this is crazy, man. This is craziness. And the thing is, though, you have to remember that her barrier, unless you're stripping it with a real strip, she has 3 turns of it. So it's realistically 3 turns of a 65% S1 stun chance. That's pretty nutty. That's pretty nutty. Just counting how many times Maid Chloe stuns me with like a, was it 35 or 40%? It's just annoying. This is 65, all right? If she has the barrier, 65. Her artifact is probably not as good as potentially RNL. So I think RNL on the defense team would make her really annoying, just way more annoying, because if she can stun after doing S2, S3, and then S1, and she can stun a target, although it's baitable because elemental, she's ice. It is that it sort of counts as sort of a CR manipulation, if you could look at it that way, right? Because they one of the stun targets, if they don't get cleansed, they lose a turn, right? So I mean, I'm gonna say that would be my argument. If you're saying that, oh, she has no CR manipulation, her stun is pretty decent there. Her artifact, outside of herself, I don't know who this could be used for. Maybe there is someone, I'm just not thinking about it, because I'm just looking at the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. Okay, the Holy Grail. All right, Goblet of Oath. It's not Holy Grail. Goblet of Oath. I'm just looking at the image there. And I don't, yeah. Anyway, effectiveness increases by 30%. That's raw, completely if you max it. It does not deteriorate over the turns. The issue is that this is like a burst fight mentality type of artifact. This is why I don't know if this could be useful. I mean, this could be useful, I suppose, in defensive comps, but RNL might be more fun. Because if your defense team, whatever defense team you have her on, is not done by 3 times, then I guess it wouldn't matter. Like your defense team is either dead or they are dead. So maybe this is a good artifact. I'm not convinced that this artifact is like oh, I must have it. Probably good to have, but I don't think so. Like compared to the hero is definitely the spotlight. So after using a non-attack skill, decreases skill cooldown by 1 turn. So she will only be able to use that once on her AI rotation. So the S2 is AoE damage, it hits. S3 is a non-attack skill. And so therefore you will be only reset the cooldown there. Can only be activated 3 times per battle. And that is the part that sort of I don't like that kind of mechanic, limiting the artifact to their useful, like how often you can use it, like the total. I don't like that. I think that was in the old Doctor's Bag or something like that too. I don't like that that kind of mechanic. This artifact is screaming for some kind of rework, but that will be in the future. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on Peira. I think that I am glad I don't need to summon Cerise. I think I will definitely pull for her. I think she is useful. And so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If there's anything I'm overlooking, definitely leave it in the comments. As you know, I do read them all, and I will respond to ones that I feel that need responding to. Outside of that, that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I will end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. And like I said, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.